All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive with us. And today we're going international.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at this company called DR Outsourcing, and they're based in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And they're doing some really interesting things, especially when it comes to talent solutions for the promotional products industry.
Interesting.
So if you're out there and you're in that industry, or honestly, even if you're not and you're just kind of curious how to build a strong and happy team, I think this is going to be a really interesting deep dive for you.
Wow. It sounds fascinating already. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like one of the biggest things that we hear about when it comes to outsourcing is just kind of the downsides of it, right? Like
Yeah.
the pitfalls that people fall into.
It's horror stories.
Yeah, the horror stories, exactly. And it seems like a lot of those come from like a kind of fundamental misunderstanding of what outsourcing can actually be.
Absolutely. It's like the old model is just sort of like, well, how do we cut costs? How do we find the cheapest labor?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it stops.
Right, exactly. And you get what you pay for in that situation often.
Yeah, exactly. And so DR Outsourcing has really kind of looked at that and said, okay, there's a different way to do this.
Okay.
So how are they changing things up?
Well, I think one of the core tenets of their philosophy is that they prioritize employee development and empowerment.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just about like, okay, you're going to do this task for us and we're going to pay you this much.
Right.
It's about like, we're going to invest in you as an employee. We're going to give you training. We're going to provide opportunities for advancement. And we're even going to use some cool technology like AI to like coach you and provide personalized feedback to help you improve your skills.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
So it's really like they're taking sort of a long-term approach to building their workforce.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think the really interesting thing here too is that they're not just doing this for any industry.
Right.
They specifically focus on the promotional products industry.
Okay, and that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about finding people who can do a job. It's about finding people who can do that specific job really well.
Yeah, exactly. So they're really tailoring the training to the needs of that industry. And even for people who maybe aren't familiar with the promotional products industry, it's basically all about creating and distributing branded merchandise.
Right, like pens and T-shirts and
Exactly. Yeah, all that stuff you get at conferences and trade shows and, just kind of out in the world.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
you're saying that DR Outsourcing is really kind of training their employees to be experts in that specific market.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're teaching them the ins and outs of how to write persuasive sales copy, how to handle objections that are specific to that industry, even like how to use the latest tech tools to manage client relationships.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like,
Yeah,
does this approach actually lead to good results?
exactly. Yeah.
And it seems like it does. Like they have really strong client relationships, a lot of which turn into long-term partnerships. Hmm. And they don't even rely on binding contracts because they're so confident in the quality of their service that they know people are going to stick around.
Wow.
And, we've actually seen firsthand how this approach can transform people's careers.
Oh yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, so there's this woman named Kessia.
Oh yeah, Kessia's story is incredible.
It's amazing, right? Like, she was already a professional in the promotional products world, but with the support of DR Outsourcing,
Yeah.
she's now traveling to the US to like build relationships with clients directly.
Wow.
And that's just like such a testament to the confidence and the skills that she's gained through working with this company.
Yeah, absolutely. It really sounds like they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah,
They're not just talking about empowering employees.
yeah,
They're actually making it happen.
exactly.
But, taking a step back, what's their overall vision? Like, where do they see themselves going in the next few years?
So they have some pretty ambitious goals. I mean, they're aiming to employ over 2,000 professionals and serve thousands of clients within the next 5 years. Wow.
Yeah, and they want to be like a leading employer in the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
We've really set the standard for what a good workplace looks like, while also, of course, driving significant growth for their clients.
Right. Yeah. So that win-win that we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
It's not just about, one side benefiting. It's about everyone coming out ahead.
Yeah, and I think their tagline really captures this perfectly. It's outsource the stress and achieve success.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so simple, but it's so powerful.
It is.
It's basically saying, like, let us handle all the headaches of finding and managing talent so that you can focus on what you do best.
Yeah. And it's so true because, I mean, anyone who's ever run a business or even just been involved in hiring knows that it can be a really stressful process.
Oh, absolutely.
And to be able to just kind of hand that off to someone else and know that it's being taken care of.
Yeah, and know that it's being taken care of well.
Yeah. And that the people who are doing the work are actually happy and engaged and growing.
Exactly.
That's huge. It's huge. Yeah. And it makes you wonder, what if more companies adopted this model?
Right.
What if employee development and specialized training became the norm instead of the exception?
Yeah, what would the world look like if that were the case?
I think it would be a much better world.
I think so too. And I think DR outsourcing is really kind of showing that it's possible.
Absolutely. And they're proving that it's not just good for employees, it's good for business too.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so for anyone listening out there, if you're intrigued by this approach,
Yeah.
I definitely encourage you to check out DR outsourcing.
Yeah, look them up.
See what they're doing, and maybe it'll spark some ideas for your own business or even just your own career.
Definitely. It's a really fresh perspective on talent solutions, and it's really inspiring to see a company doing things differently.
I agree. And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
See you later.